Hey, good evening, Donna Nelson. Welcome to episode 45. Are you a rescuer? So, if you're not familiar with what this even means, hang tight because this is going to be amazing stuff. Something I've just learned recently. This was from Stephen Cartman's work from like 40 years ago. I learned about it just a couple of days ago from one of my colleagues, and it is so fascinating. So, one of the things that I aim to always achieve in my work is to help others with this self discovery. Because the more we discover and understand ourselves, the more conscious we become about our behaviors and the things that we can change. But also, just as importantly, is understanding ourselves, is to be able to understand and relate to others. Hello, Michael Straub. Good to see you. I was just thinking about you today. So, anyway, yes, you're a rescuer. Well, anyway, so I used to be a rescuer too, which is why this became so fascinating for me to learn about this. And I see this all the time. And since it is Mother's Day weekend, I thought it was the perfect time to talk about the rescuer because moms are often so guilty of this. So let me tell you who the rescuer is. See if you can connect with this. Um, so the rescuer is just what it sounds like, right? The classic codependent enabler. Guilty. I am recovering. I have recovered. I have recovered. I've recovered every day, recovering. So, but the rescuer is the fixer, right? As soon as someone has a problem, you have to be the one to jump in. As soon as you see someone about to make a mistake, you have to save them and jump in before they get hurt, right? Or before they make that fatal mistake. And so, of course, coming from a parental point of view, or even from a boss subordinate point of view, I mean, what are the challenges with that, right? I mean, it is no one learns, right? So when we do that to our children, then we're not allowing them to be resilient, to learn from their mistakes. Um, Stop messaging me when I'm doing a live. Um, So we don't allow them, they won't learn from their mistakes, right? Because we're not allowing them to. And then we wonder why they grow up to be dysfunctional or basket cases, right? Or with this victim mentality. It's because we potentially have conditioned them into that, being the rescuer, right? So, so, but let's just say we're all adults here. We're not really talking about parenting, but yes, I could possibly be feeding back a reflection of my own life. Uh, so the rescuer, though, as I said, is that fixer, right? Jumping in to save, to try and intervene, and of course, this causes drama, right? Because then there becomes like this conflict or this ongoing victim saving the other person, and then this becomes a learned pattern, right? Because somebody always needs to be saved. You always have to save them. And then when you do, as soon as something starts going crazy again, or just a little, it becomes more and more drama over less and less significance. And then there becomes this cycle. And which can really stink in a friendship or a coworker, relationship. Um, God forbid, a marriage, right? Or, with a significant other. So, um, what the challenge with this is a couple of things. One, it keeps the victim uh, in that pattern. And the way that we do this as the rescuer is to keep them in guilt, right? Keep inflicting guilt about their behavior or why these problems keep happening to them, or why they need us to help them, right? And I always say that, we kind of have these, are dysfunctional aspects about ourselves and these relationships, these social engagements. because we have our own unmet need, right? So if you're a rescuer or you know a rescuer, you've observed this behavior, what is the unmet need? What is your unmet need, or what do you believe is the unmet need of that rescuer? Why do they feel they have to be, constantly enabling and being a codependent and stepping in, right? Like, settle down. I think I got this one. And even if, someone is not in victim mode, right? Saying, oh, poor me, as an example, the rescuer, out of their pattern and out of their need to be met, will be quick to jump in and say, oh, I got that. Let me do that. I'll help with that. Let me fix that. And it comes from this place of, I need to feel loved. I need to be validated, right? I need to have this sense of importance. And if I'm needed and I'm helping, then it's filling that need, even though it's just coming from a dysfunctional place. So it's temporarily filling that need. And then we get in that cycle of, well, trying to feed that over and over again when we're not getting it from other meaningful, significant relationships in other areas of our life. The challenge with that, so that's why the rescuer does it. But here's the downside for the rescuer. So that's the upside for the rescuer, right? But what's the downside for the rescuer? The downside is harboring resentment. I have to do everything. Everybody depends on me. If I don't do it, nobody will do it. If it's going to be done right, I have to do it right. And then you can fall into that like anger and resentment that nobody appreciates me for what I do, right? I don't get that, again, that need. I don't get recognized, right? I'm not getting fed, damn it. So nobody's recognizing my needs, and I'm resenting having to do all these things for everybody else, and not having my needs met. Do you see how juvenile this stuff becomes? And it is. These are gaps from, our inner child, those needs that haven't been met, that we end up in these dysfunctional ways about us. So here's the beauty. Now you know that if you're in relation with a rescuer, check yourself, see why that might be happening, right? Are you coming across as a victim, right? Or they're just trying to get in your space and you need to have a boundary, right? And if you are a rescuer, oh God, like I was, right? Um, how about some strategies to stop doing that, right? So what are some ways to create a new pattern, to stop doing that, to provide support, but not doing it a way that others have to feel guilty because they have to rely on you, or you're making them feel guilty for all you do, or however that's coming across, right? But this is really about making sure your own needs are fed as a rescuer, but also helping yourself repattern, right? So helping yourself repattern may be the first step, right? Changing the dialogue and then changing the actions. So as the rescuer, if someone needs help, instead of like, let me do that for you, or you're not doing that right, get out of the way, I'll do it myself, kind of thing, whatever that stuff is, right? Or jumping every time something goes wrong. And turning that around into how can that person help themselves, right? How can you offer a support, but being more of on the sidelines and being an observer, giving them the opportunity to do it themselves, make mistakes, but yet you can be there as a guide to help clean it up, right? Um, rescue Creating that sense of, allowing them to be capable, um, and ditching the critical or the anxious parts of having to jump in. So having, let me see what else in my notes that I wanted to say about that. Yeah, I think that's really all it said. And just being right. I mean, obviously that's part of it, right? just being a listener, right? So not always, this was me. If somebody, I mean, I swear it's why I became a coach, to solve everybody's problems, right? And I've shifted that, thank goodness. But somebody was telling me something, and I'm thinking, you're telling me this because you need this problem fixed and you want me to fix it for you. So, okay, let me tell you how to solve that problem. This is so unhealthy, because it's so much better to help people, which I help people do now, see that they have the answer within them and bringing that out, and that they are capable, and maybe they need to just have some confidence, or just have somebody to walk beside them, or just allow them to do it, but know that somebody's there to hold their, have their back a little bit. And so that's how you can recover from being a rescuer. But also, if you have a rescuer in your life and they're doing that, it's a good idea to speak back and say, I don't need you to solve my problem. I don't need you to fix anything. I just want you to listen. And if I need your help, I'll ask. Those are all the things my son says to me um, over time. So, which was very helpful to help me realize that he's all grown up and he doesn't need me to fix his shit. So I just listen and then cringe. All right. So that's all I wanted to share with you. I hope that you got some great insight on, if you're a rescuer, if you have a rescuer in your life, how to handle that, at least on a high level. All right. If I'm curious, if you're a rescuer, if you need some help, if you're a recovered rescuer, I want to know that too, because now you can be in my club. All right. See you guys. I'm not doing any lives on the weekend. I will see you Monday. Good night.